Hi, hello, namaste. How are you all? How is the energy? Let's start the session with a beautiful inspirational quote. My past has shaped me but has never defined me. I'm ready to create a story now. My past has shaped me but has never defined me. I'm ready to create a story now. I'm constantly evolving into the best version of myself every day. I'm constantly evolving into the best version of myself every day. Okay, let's start the session now. The first chapter is going to be in chapter 1. That's going to be in exception handling. So in this chapter, first I'll be giving you a list of questions, that you may come across. So in this chapter, the scheme of validation will be 1. Okay, so it's going to be one marker, like 1 MCQs will be there, 1 MCQ, and 1 fill in the blanks will come from this chapter. And of course, you have 1 3 marker. Totally 5 marks will be allocated for this chapter. Is the point clear? So we have an exception handling. So in this, we have, you can just go through here, built-in questions, built-in exceptions. I know how do you handle handling of Okay, let's start the session now. That's going to be in chapter 1, exception handling. So in this chapter, totally there are 5 marks allocated for it. That's going to be 1 MCQ will be there. Okay, and 1 fill in the blanks will be there. Okay, and then we have 1 3 markers will be there. Totally 5 marks will be allocated for this chapter called exception handling. So what is an exception? So we'll have a brief idea on exception handling, what is exactly the chapter, and then we will do this question one after one by another, and then with the complete solution we will go through it. So what is an exception? An exception is basically a runtime error, okay, that disrupts the normal flow of execution. So what is an exception? An exception is a runtime error that disrupts the normal flow of execution. So the program has to execute one after the other, right? So whenever the program gets terminated abruptly, we say an exception is raised. Right? Whenever an exception is raised, that means to say that we need to handle it in a graceful way so that we can have a normal flow of execution. Ultimately, our intention is to have a normal flow of execution. What is exception? Exception is basically what? A runtime error that disrupts the normal flow of execution. And what about handling? Handling is how do you solve this exception? Handling is how do you solve this exception? Is the point clear? Exception can be handled very well by adding a block of code. What is the block of code called? The block of code is called as try except block. So we have something called as a try block, and also we have an except block. This thing should be there in your mind. Is the point clear? So we have a try block and also we have an except block. Clear? Okay, we will just do it one after the other, and we'll take up the first question of this chapter. Explain any 3 built-in exceptions in Python. What are the different kinds of exceptions we may encounter? So these are the exceptions which are raised by the interpreter itself. So what are the kinds of error that may crop and which can be handled by the interpreter itself? That will raise the exception. We call it as in built-in exceptions. So what are the built-in exceptions? For this question, you have to write any 3 built-in exceptions. Any 3 built-in exceptions can be explained here. Is the point clear? Explanation means to say what? You have to write the exception name and also the meaning of it. If you know it's well and good, you can give an example also for it. So if you write the exception name and the meaning, that will definitely carry 1 mark for each built-in exception. What are the different kinds of built-in exceptions we have? We have an IO error, import error, value error, keyboard interrupt error, AOF error. We'll just take up one by one. IO error means what? This is going to be a file cannot be opened. Okay, IO, input output error. You're trying to open a file which does not exist, so definitely it has to give an error only, What kind of error it is? That's called as an IO error. Example, you can just see here, there is a function called an open function. You're trying to open a file called as a nosuch.txt. There's a file name, it's called as a notext.txt. There's no file only, so definitely it will give an error called an IO error. So we have an import error. You're trying to open a function. You're trying to call a function called as an sqrt function, and this function, in order to call, you need to have a module. And what is the name of the module? The name of the module is called as a math module. What is the name of the module? Module name is called as a math module. So instead of writing import math, if you write it as maths, that will give an module error. That's going to be an module error. You can just see here import error. I mean to say, sorry, here it's going to give a module related error. That's going to be an import error. Point clear? We'll go for the value error, and you're trying to convert a string into the input int. You're trying to convert one data type to another data type. You want to convert a string to an int. Definitely it gives an error called as a value error. Keyboard interrupt error. For example, there is a program that is executing, and the user or the programmer, he just presses some key. He disrupts the program flow of execution by pressing some key. User interrupts the program by pressing some key is called as a keyboard interrupt error. Clear? We'll go for the EOF error, input function when receives no data. Okay, when a function, input function, then receives no data, definitely there is a particular function here, there is a particular file concept, let's consider. I've opened a file and you keep on reading the content from that, and there is no input only. Then when it has reached the end of file, no, it gives an error called end of file error. Okay, we'll go for the indentation. If there is an error in the spacing, okay, beginning spaces, whatever we have, no, if there is an error in that, it leads to wrong indentation. Next is type error. What is the type error? For example, I've written 4 here. I want to add 4 with 4. Is it possible? 4 is a numerical, and can FOUR, it's not be capital always. Okay, any string. You're adding a string and an integer, definitely it leads to an error it's called as type error. What is zero division error? You're trying to divide a number by 0, it leads to a zero division error. Denomination by 0 leads to a zero division error. You can just observe here, it's capital. Okay, each word, the starting letter of each word is capitalized here. Keyboard interrupt error. Okay, EOF, indentation error, type error, zero division error. Okay, then we have overflow error, index error, name error. Okay, overflow is what? For example, the value of the variable has crossed the maximum limitation of that particular variable. Okay, there is a particular variable that has crossed its limitation, maximum value it has reached. So then it's going to give an error called as an overflow error. Maths.exponential to 1000. Okay, there is a certain limitations for it also, no, to display. So that will give an overflow error. Index error. Index error is what? Let's consider a list here. Okay, let's consider a list here is 10, 20, 30, and you're trying to give the output. You want to print LF4. There's no LF4, right? So what is the index of this? This is 0, 1, 2, and you're trying to print LF4. Definitely it leads to an error called index error. Okay, next we have a name error. Let's take a very simple example here. I've taken x is equals to 3 and I want to print x plus y. What is it? I've taken the value of x is equals to 3 and I want to print x plus y. What is y? It gives an error called name error. Variable not defined, it gives an error called name error. Is the point clear? So we'll just go for the next slide now. What is there in the next question? Explain the assert statement along with the syntax and example. So just now you have seen that what is an exception and what are the built-in exceptions we have. So exceptions can be raised automatically by the interpreter, and also it can be raised manually. It can be, for example, if I take a number 20 and if I divide by 0 automatically, I need not have to say the interpreter only raises the error. In some cases wherein the user, the programmer needs to raise the exception in order to have a graceful or a normal flow of execution. For example, I just want to check whether the person is eligible to vote or not, and I want to take an input from as an age from the user, and user has entered some negative value by mistake. Then we have to give a proper message, right? Simply it should not take it and then say he is not eligible to vote. It's a wrong data there. You have to give a proper message that don't enter negative. So such kind of errors can be handled very easily by raising the exceptions manually. How to raise the exceptions manually? By making use of two keywords, that is called assert, another is called as raise. So the question is on assert here. Explain the assert statement with syntax and example. So what is there? Here remember the assert statement will always checks for a condition. Checks for a condition, tests the condition. If it fails, if that condition fails, only then the assertion error will be raised. Only then the assertion error will be raised. Is the point clear? So usually when do we use it? I just want to, in the beginning itself, as soon as they enter, I need not have to check my, I don't want to go for each and every statement execution and then tell that, he's not eligible to vote. No, in the beginning itself, I have to tell. Input validation and early checking, we make use of these kind of assert statements. So statements after asserts are skipped if assertion fails. Let's take an example now. So what is the example? See, before going to the example, we'll just look into the syntax here. What is the syntax? We need to raise the exception manually. We need to inform the interpreter that there is a manual exception, that we need to raise it. That means keyword called assert. Assert expression. This is the condition. Expression means it's a condition here, and this is going to be the message that you want to pass. Is this compulsory? Definitely not compulsory. It's going to be optional. That means whatever that is given within the square brackets, it will be optional. Directly it will give. If it is not given, it will give just as an assertion error. Is the point clear? So we'll just look into the example now. Age has been initialized to 12 now. So assert age greater than equal to 18. Assert age greater than equal to 18. Then what it will give? Age must be 18 or above. It should be 18 or above. Only then, see, for example, here is the keyword here that is telling you that there is an exception. If the condition fails, the assertion error is going to be raised. What is the condition? The condition is going to be age greater than equal to 18. If this fails, definitely in this case it fails. No, it is going to give this message, age must be 18 or above. So what is that? If this fails, this will be executed. What if it is going to be true? What is this going to be true? Age is going to be, for example, instead of 12, I've given 21. This will not be executed. Error will not be raised at that time. This will be executed. If it fails, rises the assertion error, and it skips this. That is what they've given. Statements after asserts are skipped. Is the point clear? So we'll just go for the next slide. I told you one more thing. What is that? Exception can be raised manually by using a rise keyword. Assert is there, no why rise. In case of an assert, checking a condition, having a condition and checking the condition, if it fails only, then the assertion error is raised. I don't want to have an assertion error. I want to have any other different kinds of error that I want to handle it just by using rise. So without condition, let's consider there are so many statements will be executed one after the other. Okay, and I'll just give rise. Rise exception. For example, rise zero division exception, zero division error, rise value error. So whatever the exception, by default, if I just write exception name, whatever the exception name, you have seen so many built-in exception, any kind of exception name, if you give it, it just raises that. No need to have condition only. What is the point, ma'am? You need to have a condition. This is not going to be valid if you just raise the error just like that. That means there is a chance without checking a condition also you can raise the exception. That's what I meant. So here you need to hack, and you can have any kind of exception. Any kind of exception you can have it. Is the point clear? And also we can give an optional arguments here. What is the message that you want to pass on? Age must be, in the previous slide you have seen, no? Age must be 18 and above. So we'll just look at the example now. So what is the syntax? Just look at the syntax again, and then we'll check. Rise exception name, you can have some arguments there. That means it is a message that you can pass on. Handle, no? We need to handle, right? So we'll look at the example. Now what is example? Marks equals to 120 now, and we have marks is greater than 100. Okay, if it is greater, then I'm going to raise the exception. How can you have a marks greater than 100? For example, we have a maximum limitation itself as 100. Nobody can score more than 100. 101 is not accepted. It's only 100. So automatically when the condition is satisfied, I'm raising an exception. Is it condition compulsory for raising this? No. But you can. But it will be useful only when we have certain condition, isn't it? So rise exception, marks cannot exceed 100. marks cannot exceed 100. Automatically it's going to raise one built-in exception called exception itself. Exception class is there actually. So it's going to pass on a message called marks cannot exceed 100. It's an error that is manually raised. Clear? So we'll go with the next question now. What's the next question? Catching an exception. Before we go for catching an exception, first throw the exception, then catch. And if we throw only, we can catch it, right? What do you say? First we'll throw it and then we'll catch it. So we'll handle this question later. We'll go for this and we'll come back. Okay, so what is this? We'll just look into that and we'll go to that question. Clear? So we'll understand the flow. Understanding will be better if we go like this. Explain try except clause in Python with an example. Very simple. I told you exception handling can be done very, very easily by adding a block of code. What is that block of code? That block of code is called as try block and except block. What is that? Try block and except block. Whenever an error is raised, to handle exception, to have a normal flow of execution, that can be done very easily by adding a block of code. That block of code should contain try except block. Is the point clear? What is the try block? Try block is basically error causing code, error causing instructions. What is that? Exceptions, error code where exceptions may occur. Error causing instructions. Error detection code I can write. What is except? Error correction code. Error correction code, whereas try is error detection code. Error causing instruction. Try is what? Error detection code, and except is error correction code. That point you remember. Is the point clear? So we have a try block, we have an except block, there is something called else block also. No error only. There is no error only. At that time this block will be executed. So we'll just look at an example and they'll go for catching an exception and the previous question also. So we have a try block here. Remember here, this entire thing is what? Try block. Okay, this entire thing is a try block, and this is going to be a what? Except block. Ma'am, what is this? You're telling one except block. There are so many except blocks. You can handle as many as errors that you may encounter. You can have the exception block. Is the point clear? It is not that one try block, one except block. You can have as many as exception blocks you want it. Is the point clear? So this is one except block, this is going to be another except block, and also we have an else block also. Error causing instruction, error correction code, and this is error correction code, and also else is going to be what? It's going to be, it is when the error is not there, when the exception is not raised, at that time this block will be executed. So what about try block? So we'll just look at an example. Number is equals to 50, denominator is equals to enter the denominator, some number, I'm going to take it. Okay, quotient is equals to numerator by denominator, that means 50 by 10, let's consider. I have entered numerator, denominator is going to be 10, no problem. Okay, it's not going to, so here division performed successfully, it will come. If it's only 0, if you have given the denominator as 0, at that time error is raised. Exception is raised. Okay, exception is raised, and then it will be handed over to the corresponding except block. Corresponding in this block or this block. This is going to be divided by 0 means D is 0 division error, and this message will be printed. What message? Denominator as 0 is not allowed. Denominator as 0 is not allowed. So you can give a proper message saying that. For example, students, you're entering some, some credential you're entering, and you just see one blank page. You've entered wrong password. Okay, the number of characters is exceeded. Let's consider everything is perfect. The number of characters you've exceeded. If you get a blank space, how it will be? Or if they clearly tell that you cannot exceed more than 8. It should be 8 characters. It can be more than 8 characters. It should not be less than that. And you've entered, let's consider 5. A clear message will definitely able to make the user understand to overcome that. So proper message is required. That is what we are doing in error correction code. That's mean an except block. For example, you have to give a denominator. Instead of giving a denominator, you have given us 50 and I've given us 4. What is this 4? This is going to be a string. So you've given a string. For integer, you've given a string. I can't divide a 50 by string now. So it will come to this block, value error, only integer should be entered. It comes to this block. Is the point clear? It is not that everything should be executed. It searches for the suitable handler and then executes that particular exception block. Everything is fine, no error only. For example, 50 by 10, no error only. So this will execute, this will execute, this will execute, this will execute. No error only. Directly it comes for the else block. The result of the division is quotient. So it's going to give 5. Is the point clear? Now there is something called finally. Finally is always executed irrespective of whether exception is raised or not. Is the point clear? This you have to keep in mind. Okay, we'll just go back. So this part I have told you, very simple. If they ask you try except else clause in Python with an example, means I've told you what is try block, what is except. Explanation is given along with one example is given. Easily you will be able to get 3 marks for this. Clear? So we'll just go back now. You will be able to understand in a better way. Okay, we'll go back to this and that question. Briefly explain the process of handling the exception. You've just gone through with the example. Now we'll have an idea. What do you mean by process of handling an exception? Whenever an exception is raised, when an exception raised, divide by 10, 50 divided by 10, 50 divided by 10 means no error. Error is not there. If I make 50 divided by 0, definitely it's going to raise an exception. 50 divided by 0, it's going to raise an exception. Whenever an exception is raised, Python is going to create one object. Okay, Python is going to create one object. That object is called as an exception object. What does that exception object contains? It contains the name of the file where the error has occurred, and type of the error, and also type of the error I mean to say, and also it's going to contain some line number where exactly the error has occurred, and also some details, and along with these details it is also giving you a suggestion where exactly or how you can overcome that error. All these things will be stored in that exception object. What happens when an exception is raised, when an error is raised, it's going to create one Python object which comprises of all these details and handovers to the runtime system. That is called throwing an exception. Clear? Next. Okay, runtime system is called throwing an exception. Searches the handler, corresponding handler it is going to search through the call stack in the reverse order. Because there may be so many exception will be there. It's going to search the corresponding exception handler through the call stack in the reverse order. It is going to search for it. If found, exception is caught. That means exception is caught here. If not found, the program stops after the traceback. So in this question, remember here, explain the process of handling the exception means you need to write about throwing an exception, catching an exception also. Is the point clear? So all these things should be explained properly. Is the point clear? So this is how we write it. We'll go with the next previous question. What is catching an exception? Explain catching an exception using a try except block with a syntax and example. What is throwing an exception? You know, that means whenever an exception is raised, a Python object is created and hand over to the runtime system. This is called throwing an exception. What is catching an exception? Catching an exception means it's a process of finding a suitable handler. Which handler? Vehicle handler? No. Exception handler. So many exception handler will be there. No, what is that handler, ma'am? Forgot. Zero division error. Then we have a value error, or it can be an index. Whatever the different kinds of, maybe, what are the different kinds of error? Built-in exception, so many built-in we have seen. No, it's going to be an import error, or it can be an IO error. What are the different kinds of exceptions are there, right? All these exceptions has to be found out. You need to find out the suitable handler, and then you need to execute it. What is catching an exception? Process of finding the suitable exception handler and execute it when the exception is raised is called as catching an exception. Very simple. An exception is raised if I give 0 here. So it's the same example only. Whenever you give 0, it searches for the suitable handler. There are two handlers here. One is 0 division, another is going to be an value error. Searches for the corresponding handler. Is the point clear? And executes it, that is called catching an exception. Clear? So in this case, they've clearly given syntax, example, everything. You can just write the example and thus show that this is going to be a suitable handler. This is a suitable handler. So in order to find that, no, it will take some time, right? So finding the suitable handler and executing this block of code is called as catching an exception, right? So we'll go with the next slide now. Okay, so what happened? Okay, we'll take up the next question. Okay, we'll take up the next question. Okay, we'll take up the next question. That's going to be, what is the use of finally clause explained with a programming example? So now, in the previous slide, you have already seen there are different kinds of block. What are the different kinds of block you have seen in the previous example? Try block, except block, else block, finally block, right? Ma'am, what I forgot. You can just see here, finally here, right? This is what we are talking. So, what is the use of finally clause explained with a programming example? So the same example you can give, explain this and give the same example. Whenever they ask you example, that one example, if you study for this chapter, no, it's more than enough. You can give the same example everywhere. Okay, so we'll just go for what is the use of finally clause. It always executes whether an exception is raised or not. It is always executed. Is the point clear? And remember here, it's going to closes the file. Whenever we open a file, we're going to perform some operation and then we're going to close the file. For example, we enter the room, we'll do some work, and then when we go out, we need to switch off the lights, right? Now, who is interested? I don't want. You switch off, you switch off, you switch off. Especially when you're sleeping, no? When you want to go for a sleep, we'll just forget, and then we'll ask the, maybe family members, you switch off the lights. As soon as we step out of the room, as soon as we step out, as soon as we step out of the room, automatically the lights should go off. Siri is there, Alexa is there, why to worry? Now we have become lazy also because of that, isn't it? So it's very simple. As soon as a file is opened and done with its job after performing the operations, we need to close the file. Now who will close it? Automatically the file will be closed when this block of code is executed. When it will be executed, it is irrespective whether an exception is raised or not, finally block will always be executed, just ensuring that it's going to close, switch off all the lights and locking the door and going out. Very simple. Irrespective whether an exception is raised or not, it is going to close the file. See, and one more important thing, for example, there is a particular block of code here. There are two exceptions that you may occur. For example, you may give string here instead of giving a denominator a number. Given a string, it gives a value error. And for example, there is another error. For example, giving a 10 instead of giving 10, you've given 0. That is also a 0 division error. Apart from this, if there is any kind of error, then also it's going to be re-raised by the finally block. It's not only for this block of code. Is there any other block of code? See, exception will be raised in the try block only when the programmer is able to anticipate the error well in advance. If the programmer is able to anticipate the error well in advance, only then he can write it in the try block. What if he's not able to handle it? There is a finally block, it will take care. It's going to re-raises the error. If it's not handled by the programmer in the except block, many of the exception handler, it will be finally taken care by the finally block. It re-raises the exception if it's not handled by the programmer. Is the point clear? So that is what you mean by exception is not handled, means it's going to re-raises the exception before it is going to, before re-rising. That means to say that what they are trying to tell you here, it's going to execute this over and out. It's not cut. Over and out, it's going to give that. After that, if any error is there, it's going to re-rises. So that means it's going to execute this and then it's going to re-rise. Is the point clear? Okay, let's start this chapter second. That's going to be the file handling. So in this chapter, of course, it's going to carry 5 marks here. 5 marks will be there. So 1 MCQ will be there, 1 fill in the blanks will be there, and then we have 3 marker here. Totally it will be 5 marks here. Okay, so this chapter is basically related to the files. As you know, we have so many syntax example that you need to remember. So many functions are there. You should be very careful. You need to concentrate this and remember it and make a note of it. Okay, wherever possibility is there, so that you'll be able to, store it in the memory for a long time, right? So we'll just continue. So there are so many questions, 3 markers are there. So we'll just do one by one. Okay, so what's the question? That's going to be, what is a file, and mention the 2 types of files. What is a file? A file is a named area in the secondary memory. For example, so we have a secondary memory that is, okay, that we store the data. So there is a particular file name here. For example, I've given us in sample.txt. There is a text file here. What is a file? As a named area in the secondary memory where I can store the data and I can also access it whenever I need it. It's a permanent memory. That's the need. That's what you mean by store. That's what you mean by retrieval. Retrieving is possible whenever I need it. That is the use of a secondary memory, isn't it? The name area in the secondary memory where we can store the data and instructions and access it whenever I need it. That's called a file. What are the 2 types of files we have it? We have a text file and we have a binary file. So for this 3 marker, you can just mention. So they've asked you what is a file and what are the 2 types of files. Just write that a file is a named area in the secondary memory. The 2 types of files is going to be the text files and binary file. That's it. You're going to get 3 marks here. So what is the next question? The next question is going to be, what are the differences? What are the differences between the text file and the binary file? A text file is basically all the characters or the information is stored in the form of ASCII code. Okay, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. For example, there is an A. So A will be stored in the form of 65. B will be stored in the form of 66. Is the point clear? Each and every character will be stored in its ASCII code. So how the characters will be stored here? The characters will be stored as it is held in the memory. That means it's not going to follow as an ASCII code as such. It is going to store in the binary in the form of bytes, we call it, in the form of zeros and ones only. Example is going to be an audio or a video, or it can be an image. Everything is an example for binary files. Okay, what is the next difference they've given? Each and every line of text is ended by a delimiter that's called end of line. What is end of line? End of line is a character that's going to be a slash in, that's going to be an escape sequence. It's going to be there after every line. For example, hi, this is a computer science class. I've given that. So there is, okay, and there is a slash in here. There is a text slash in. There is a text slash in. That's called, that is there in the text file, but there is no delimiter, there is no end of line in case of binary file. Okay, what is there? The next one, text files are easy to understand. It's human readable, right? Human can read it very easily, whereas it's not human readable. It's difficult in form of zeros and ones if it is given. No error, for example, some files in there is it's corrupted. Okay, if the text file is corrupted little bit, we can able to rectify it easily, identify it easily. Whereas in case of a binary file, everything in forms of zeros and ones, and if you just make little changes also, correcting the corrupted file will become very difficult. Okay, and next we have an extension here. .txt is an example for a text file. .py is an example. Python file is all text file. .csv, comma separated value, is also a text file only, and character translation occurs here because memory representation is different and the way that is data stored in this file is going to be different because it is stored in the form of ASCII code. Okay, translation is required here. There is no translation is required here. An example is going to be, I told you it's going to be an image or it can be an audio or a video. Example, it will be .dat. Okay, binary file, then it's going to be in JPG, MP3. These are all the different kinds of extensions that we can have. Okay, binary files are difficult to understand. These are some of the differences. Is the point clear? So it's very, very important that you need to write 3 differences, means at least 4 to 5 differences you need to write it, so that 1 point missed out also will be able to get the other point. So ensure that you write it in the form of a table. We'll go with the next question. What is the difference between right and right lines? Remember, here the difference is right and right lines. There is no such function called right line. Read line is there, right line is not there. Right lines is there, yes is there, I mean to say. Okay, so what is the difference? See, we have so many functions. Okay, in this session only we will be coming across with so many functions, like seek function is there, then we have tell function is there, read is there, write is there, right line is there, read line is there, read lines is there. So many functions are there, and all these functions, how do we call these functions? Whenever we are doing something related to the file, first thing is that you need to open a file. Only then I can read it or write it or perform some operation on it. How do you open a file? We're going to open a file. I think it's a bit important. That is the reason I'm giving you this explanation for open and then coming back to this. So in open function, name of the file, let's consider sample.txt, and then we will have this mode. Okay, then we'll have this mode. There's an open function. Open function is going to very beautifully, an open function is going to open a file which is already existing. If the file does not exist, it's going to create one file. So we have 2 arguments here. One is going to be the name of the file. Another is going to be the mode. You know, whether you're doing read or write, whatever the operation you're doing. And this open function is going to create or is going to open the existing file. So file means it's going to be a named array on the secondary memory. So this file I have to write something, only then I can read it. Right? I've written hi. So I have to keep on, after hi I have to write hello, and then I have to write Python, and then I have to write something called as file handling. Like this I have to write it, mean there is some kind of a pointer that helps me in writing it. No, that pointer is basically the object. That is called as file object, that is always associated with respect to the file that we've opened. Okay, that is returned by a function called open function FO. Is it FO compulsory? Whatever the name you can give it. File object. What is it? It's file object. You can give any name. So this file object should always be used whenever you call any function. So how do you call this function? Write function, you're going to call it as FO.write function, FO.writeLine function, writelines function, FO.read function, FO.readLine function, everything in terms of file object. Keep this in the memory. Okay, so we'll just continue now. So what is this? So this function, write function, is basically used for writing a single string to the file. I just want to write one string. I just want to write hi. I just want to write hello. I just want to write Python, not all. I just want to write only one string at a time to the file, means I can make use of this for writing a single string. So what is that example? The syntax you can just see here. How do you call any function file object? File object, who is returning? Open is returning. So file object dot write string. Example, f.write athva fo.write Python. Okay, is that hi? Hi students, how are you all? How is the energy? Good, great. So this is going to be an example for that. So what is what about read lines? Oh, okay, for writing for multiple strings, sequence of strings. Hi, hello, how are you all? Hi, hello, namaste. Multiple strings are there. Hi is there. Hello is there. Namaste is there. These are all different string are there. I want to store it. I want to store multiple strings. I have to store it. Means write will not work. Only one string it can take. Multiple strings I have to store. No. How to store multiple string? Make use of a list concept. Just write all these things in list. See here. Hello. How are you? How are you? So namaste I can add on here. Hi, how are you all? And namaste, put it in this list and then store it. How do you write it? FO.writelines. Sorry, FO.writelines. FO.writelines. I can just write one list containing all these things. Is the point clear? Very simple. Okay, we'll go with the next slide. And remember one more point I want to tell here. This is, we need to tell explicitly. Remember here both the functions explicitly, automatically it is not going to end with slash, and remember that. Explicitly we need to give one slash in here. Each and every line is terminated by a delimiter. Each and every line is terminated by a slash n. Each and every line is terminated by EOL. What is it, ma'am? Space, 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 that enter key will be there. No. So, slash n, slash n, slash n. See here, hello slash n. How are you slash n? Program. Anyway, that's going to be the last. You can also put slash n here, no problem. Is the point clear? So this is how we are going to write multiple string to the file using a function called what? WriteLines. How to call? F4 dot WriteLines. File object dot WriteLines function. Clear? We'll go with the next slide now. How do you read data from a file using a read in Python, read function in Python? Explain with an example. So I just want to read the contents of the file. How to write? Ma'am, there's a one function called read function. I have to call it. How do you call it? File object dot read function. That's the reason I told you what about file object and then open function. How do you call this function? F4 dot read function. F4 dot read function. How much to read, ma'am? I have not given. Whole file will be read. Whole file, entire file will be read. If I give -5, then also whole file will be read. If I write F4 dot 5 characters will be read. Is the point clear? 5 bytes is going to read it. You can just see here, this method is used to read a specified number of bytes from the data file. No arguments, entire file will be read. If you just give a negative number, then also it's going to read the complete file will be read. Is the point clear? Just remember this point. And okay, one more difference is I want to tell you here with respect to write and WriteLines function. Write function is going to return the total number of characters written into the file. Write function returns the total number of characters. How many characters did we return? We wrote 2 characters. So 2 it will return. How many characters we wrote it? So whatever the number of characters, there are multiple lines. No, in this is going to be WriteLines. If I write like this, hi, hello means it is going to write. If I write this is going to be one string. If I take it, definitely it is going to be taken. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters it is going to take it. What about slash and slash? And if you give it that also 1 only, it will be 1 only. Total number of characters it is going to be returned by this. It's going to display. Okay, it will be returned by this function, and it is not going to return any number of characters returned to the file. That you have to keep in mind. Is the point clear? So I've just written. That means this function will return something, some number it is going to return. This also is going to return 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to return 5. You can store it. You'll get to know how many characters returned by the function write. WriteLine is not returning. So one difference you can add on for this. So we'll go for the read function. That's what I was explaining you with respect to the read function. In case of read function, if the value, if the arguments is not given, it's going to read the entire file. Entire file when a value is not given, when no argument. Negative, then also whole file. No argument, then also whole file. What about if you give 5 bytes, it is going to read it. Is the point clear? So just write one syntax, one example, and then explanation for this. 10 bytes it is going to read from the file. We'll go for the next question. What is the difference between read line and read lines? Write line is not there. Read line and read lines are there. So in this, it is going to read one complete line from a text from the file. One complete line it is going to read it from the file, sorry. And you can also mention how many characters also you want to read it. For example, I want to read 5 characters. I can read it. But maximum up to first occurrence of the slash n. Wherever that slash n will come, no, up to that it can read the number of characters. You can mention up to that. But if it crosses, then it will not going to read it. It's going to read one complete line, or also it's going to read the number of characters, okay, before the slash n it can read it. Up to slash n I can tell you. Up to slash n it can read it. Okay, so that you have to keep in mind here. How do you call this function? File object dot read line function. File object dot read line 5. FO dot Read line 5 characters, it can read it, or up to slash, and I told you. What about read lines? Read lines is going to read all the lines. All the lines it is going to return. It's going to read it, and how does it return? This is going to return in terms of strings, string only. It's going to return in the form of string. And this read lines, one more difference you can write. This is going to return a string. This is going to return a list. It's going to return a list. List containing multiple lines. List containing multiple strings. Okay, reads all the lines and return the lines along with a new line as a list of strings. List of strings it's going to return. How do you call this function? File object dot read lines function returns a list. Returns as a string here. It returns a string. List containing strings, of course. List containing strings. Okay, we'll go with the next question. What is the next question? Explain 3 modes. Okay, file mode parameters used in Python's open function. I think you know what is an open function. Open function is a beautiful function. It's just not going to open an existing file. Open function also going to create a file if it does not exist. How do you call an open function? Open function, we're going to call it by writing open keyword. It's a function open, and then write the name of the file. That's called sample. Sample.txt. Then the mode here. What are the modes, student? And this function is return something. What does it return? File object is going to return. It's going to return file object. I always use FO so that you can remember that. Whatever you can take it. My object, file object. Okay, file object, the entire keyword only. Anything you can, not the keyword. I mean to say entire word you can take it. So what are these modes? Why do you open? Why do you open a mode? Okay, this mode also should be in quote only, not exactly the mode. I mean to say, what are the different kinds of modes? Okay, let's not give this mode within quotes. I mean to say only the mode. Mode can be of any of these values. The mode means what exactly you want to do within, what exactly you want to do with a file. Whether you want to read it, whether you want to write it, whether you want to append it, what exactly you want to do. Whether you want to read it, whether you want to write it, whether you want to append it. I want to read it. Then you do it in R mode. R mode means like this. W mode means write mode means like this. A mode means append mode means like this. For example, I've already written a file, opened a file called hi, and I want to write hello. Hi, hello, namaste. Hi there. Focusing right. So we'll just continue. Hi, hello. I want to add on namaste here. That means I want to store, I want to continue writing to the file at the end of the file. That means it is an append mode at the end. Is the point clear? I want to do both, read and write both, ma'am. That means plus, or it can be plus R, W plus W, A plus or plus A. Anything combination is going to work out. Plus means read, write both. R, okay, plus R. Or plus R or is the same thing, right? Okay, R plus W plus, or it can be plus W, A plus or plus A. Ma'am, something is there, B is there. B is what? B for binary. What is B? And the same file should be written in the binary file. What is a binary file, ma'am? Everything returns in terms of bytes, students. Everything written in terms of bytes. And remember here, in order to open a binary file, you need to have a separate application for opening it. In case of a text file, any notepad, any text editor will be fine. It's not notepad, any text will be fine for opening any text files. Plain text, it is stored in the form of plain text. But in order to open a binary files, you need to have a dedicated application for it. Is the point clear? So remember here, B means binary. What is B? B means binary. Writing into the binary file, appending into the binary file, and also you're going to read into the binary file. So that's the combination we can have it. Clear? So we'll go with the next slide now. What's there in the next slide? That's going to be tell and seek methods. Okay, in the example, tell is what? Tell where exactly the file object. No, where exactly the file object. For example, I have read hi. I've read hi and I've told you hello. I've read this much. I want to read from here. That means file object is here. File object is here. I've read this, then I have to read from here. So tell function, basically it gives you the current position of the file object. Tell me where exactly the file object. Tells the current position, returns the integer that specifies the current position of the file object. Where exactly, where are you? Integer value it is going to return. Is the point. Ma'am, how to call this function? Ma'am, you told something file object, I'm going to call like that. Yes or no? Yes, you call like that only. fo.tell function. But remember, this function is going to return something. I can write it as n is equals to fo.tell function. Simple. Ma'am, they have not given. That's also fine. But remember that it returns. It returns. Ma'am, now I have read hi, hello. I want to take it back to hi. You've said hi, hello, I want to go back to hi now. I want to take the file object wherever I need it. Wherever I need it, if I want to take out, then we can make use of a seek function. This method is used to position the file object at the desired position, wherever you want it. For example, right now I'm in the beginning, I just want to go here. Fifth byte I want to go. Go, ma'am, what is there? That means, how do you call this function? Very simple. fo.seek function, go to the fifth byte. I'm telling fifth byte. Ma'am, is it fifth byte from the beginning or from the end? Tell no. From the beginning or tell? From the beginning, ma'am. I'll give it as fo.seek 5. Very simple. From the beginning only. By default beginning. That means, see here, this seek function can have two arguments. One is going to be the offset, the number of bytes. How many bytes you want to move? Whether you want to take it from left, whether you want to take it from the beginning, or whether you want to take it from the right, or whether you want to write it. Whether you want to take it from the beginning, whether you want to take the file object from the end, or you want to take the file object from the current position. Where exactly you want to take it? That is given by the reference point. These reference points can be 0 or 1, or it can be 2. And this is going to be the number of bytes. How many bytes you want to move? 5 bytes or 10 bytes or 15 bytes? Can it be negative? Definitely it can be negative also. If I take it, the position, reference position is going to be, reference point is going to be the end, means definitely it will be negative also, we can mention. Is the point clear? Seek means wherever you want to take the file pointer, you can take the file object according to your desired location. Is the point clear? So it can take a reference point, and reference point by default it's going to be 0. 0 indicating beginning of the file. 0 indicating beginning of the file. Clear? So we'll go to the next question. What's the next question? The next question is going to be explain the dump function in Python with syntax and example. Ma'am, you told how to store the text. Hi, hello, namaste and all, we can store it. Now, I don't want to store this. I want to store some objects. I want to store. Is it not an object? Everything is stored in the form of objects only. No, ma'am. In Python, so everything is object. Definitely, it's an object. Let's take one example. One beautiful object that's going to be a list. 10, 20, 30, and this is going to be a list, and I don't want to store it in the form of text. At text files, you know that, right? And basically it's going to store everything in the form of text only. Even though if you give number, it will convert into string, and it will convert the number into string, and it will store in the form of string only. Now, this should not be stored in the form of string. Why, ma'am? That's okay. No, if I want to accept L of 0 or L of 0, I have to get it. Means I should get 1. Without losing the structure, without losing the hierarchy of an object, if I want to retrieve the data from the file, only then I'll have the benefits. All data I cannot store in the form of text file. I have to store a certain objects to the file without losing the structure or the hierarchy as it is. I want to retrieve it even after storing in the file, means I have to store it in the binary files. I have to store it in the binary files. Store what? File objects in the, file objects. I want to store any Python objects. If I want to store it in the binary files, means you need some help. Who's going to help us? We're going to help us with the help of a module called Pickle module. Okay, we have a module called Pickle module. Pickle module is telling I'm going to help you out. Okay, he himself cannot come. No, it's going to be a module. He cannot come. He will tell that I'm going to send my chelas to help you out. Who are the chelas? We have two functions. That's going to be the dump function, and then we have a load function. Dump function and load function are there. These two functions are sent by whom? By the Pickle module. Then you should be knowing how to call the module functions. How do we call these functions? We're going to call the functions as pickle.dump, pickle.load function. Pickle.dump function, pickle.load function. Is the point clear? So these two are the functions which help us in storing the Python objects to the binary file and also retrieving these final objects from the binary file without losing the structure or the hierarchy. Keep this in the mind. Clear? Now they're asking the question, what is a dump function? Dump function is basically a Pickle function, Pickle module function that helps us in storing the Python objects to the binary file. Okay, for converting Python objects, writing data into the binary file. This process of converting the Python objects into the binary file or storing the Python objects into the binary file is called as what? It's called as pickling. It's called as pickling. It's called as pickling. We also call it as serialization. What do we call? We call it as serialization. Is the point clear? Very simple. There is a function called a dump function. A dump function is basically a Pickle module function that's going to help us in converting the Python objects and store it in the form of bytes and in the binary file without losing the structure. And how do we call this function? It's going to be a pickle.dump function. Ma'am, what you want to store? First you tell me that, ma'am. You can store hi, hello, namaste, everything in text file. How do we store it? What do we store it? How do we store it and what do we store it? We have to store some Python objects. Tuple, dictionary, list, these are all you've come across, no? Okay, these things we have to store it means I can make use of this. Very simple, data object. Which object is a list or a tuple or a dictionary? Store this because hierarchy is important for us. That's the reason I'm taking this example. Comma, where you want to store, ma'am? Which file? Which file means which object? That means file object. Is the point clear? This is a bit different concept. That's the reason I'm explaining you from the beginning. What is Pickle? Everything. Clear? So there is something called as a dump function. Dump function is going to be a Pickle module function, pickle.dump function, file object, data. First tell me what you're going to dump it and then where you're dumping. What are you dumping? Where are you dumping? What are you dumping? Data object. Where are you dumping? File object. File object, it will not go anywhere. It will be there along with us. Position may be here and there. That's it. Clear? So we'll go for pickling, this process called as pickling or serialization, and we'll just look at the example also here. So what is an example? List value 1 Kavi F26. What is this? List containing multiple values. List containing multiple values. I'm going to call this function called pickle.dump list value comma file object F or file object. Okay, we'll go to the next question. That's going to be a load function. Load the data that is stored. That means you have to convert back the byte streams back to the Python objects, and this is going to be helped by the load function. How do you call the load function? Pickle.load function. Load from where? You're going to give what you've dumped, only you can load it, right? So you're not going to tell you about the data object. Load from where? From the file object. It is always returns the Python object only. Okay, pickle.load file object is the argument here. An example is going to be pickle.load file object. F they've taken. And this loading is called what? Dumping is storing, retrieving it from the binary file is called as deserialization. Pickling, unpickling, serialization, deserialization. Keep that in the mind. Okay, it's load, unpickling. Dump is going to be pickling. Let me repeat it again. So dump is going to be pickling or serialization, and this is going to be deserialization. Okay, we'll go with the next slide. Okay, what is the significance of the with clause in Python? Python file handling. Explain the syntax and with an example with clause explanation. Okay. So what is it? I just give an example. I just finished all my work in this room and I just wanted to go get out of this room. Okay, and then I should ensure that all the lights should be off. I can't tell someone, you just switch off the lights, you do this, you do that. We need to use the resources efficiently, right? So I don't want to do this. As soon as I get out of this room, automatically it should be closed. It should be closed. The door should be locked. The light should be off. Similarly, whenever we open the file, we have done some operation, we need to close the file automatically. So who was closing a file? Okay, who was closing a file? Do you remember? So we can use that finally block wherein it closes all the files, right? Similarly, without using a try exception block, if you have to handle this, as soon as you open a file, everything is done, means you have to close a file. How do you open a file? Open and then you have a sample, then a text name, the file name, and then the mode, right? Similarly, with the help of a with open function, you will be able to close the file as soon as you go to the scope. We'll just look at the example. It is used to, of course, okay, it is used to open files. With open means with open. It's going to open the files and automatically closes the file. With clause means along with open means open the file. Along with means what? It's going to open the file and also close the file automatically. Avoid forgetting the close. Avoid forgetting, like we forget to switch off the lights. No, avoid forgetting the close. Ensure safe resource handling. Right, so we'll take an example now. With open, file name and mode as file all. Look at the syntax, it's a bit different. I'll rewrite it. With open, okay, name of the file. What is the name of the file? Sample.txt. Sample.txt mode. What is the mode? I'm going to give it as R as FO. Do some operations here. This is the syntax. With open, file name, R, mode, whatever the mode you want, as FO, colon is there, block is there. Remember, when you go out of the scope means when you come here writing something, I'm going to write as print hi. I just want to write hi here. So when I come here, automatically the file will be closed. When the cursor or when the control goes out of the scope, automatically the file will be closed in case of with open clause. So with open, data.txt R as F. So this is going to read, what does this read? Entire file will be read, and after that I just want to print content. Out of it I want to print it. Print content means when it comes here, no, automatically the file will be closed. Clear? So we'll just go with the next slide. Okay, we're going to start with the chapter 3, that's going to be stack. So in this chapter, we're going to have a mark allocation like this, that is 1 plus 2 plus 5. Totally 8 marks. 1 marker, 2 marker, 5 marker, and put together it's going to be 8 marker. Remember, definitely 1 5 marker will be coming from this chapter, and it is a damn easy thing that you have to remember. You need not have to write stories here. Just remember the algorithm and you'll be able to handle it very easily. Okay, so we have a certain set of questions. What are the operations and what do you mean by expression and different types of expressions? We will be going in detail. We'll start with the first question. So define stack and then mention the principle it follows. So what is a stack? A stack is basically a linear data structure wherein the elements are added and removed only from the one end of the stack. So I just give an example. So what is stack? Stack is basically a stack of bangles is an example, a beautiful example for that. Stack of bangles means what? So whenever I add a bangle here, it goes here, and one more bangle added on top of it, it comes. So whichever bangle I've inserted at the end, that will come out first, right? So what is stack? A stack is basically a linear data structure that wherein the elements are added and removed only from one end of the stack. That means I can't add a bangle from this end, students. I have to cut my hand only for adding it, isn't it? So we can add a bangle and we can remove a bangle only from this end. I call this end as what? Top of the stack. I call this end as top of the stack. Is the point clear? So here you need to know this. Here it's going to follow a principle called LIFO. That's going to be last in, first out. Last in, first out. Whichever has been entered last, that will come out. For example, T, A, C. I have given T, A, C. T entered, then A entered, then C entered. Then which will come out first? C will come out first. That is called last in, first out principle. Okay, we'll go with the next question. Mention two operations performed on stack. What are the different operations performed on stack? We have an operation like push operation, pop operation. Then we have is empty, peak is null. So what is push operation? Push operation is called an insertion operation. Inserting an element to the stack is called push operation. And when the stack is full, how can you insert an element, students? I have written 0, 1, 10, okay, something like this I've entered. There's no space only for me to enter an element to this stack now. So that leads to a condition called overflow condition. Okay, that leads to a condition called overflow condition. Definitely this will not come in Python. Okay, in other programming languages and all, we have to handle this condition, but in Python we need not have to handle this. Okay, then we have a pop. Pop is going to be removal of an element from the stack is called as in pop operation. And definitely when there is no element here, there is an empty stack here, how can you remove an element? That condition is called as an underflow condition. What is that condition called? That's called as an underflow condition. Is empty. Check if there is a stack is empty or not. That condition is called as an is empty condition. Peak. View the topmost element of the stack without deleting, without removing it. So view the topmost element of the stack is called as peak and is full. Is a stack full? Is the stack is full? That's going to be one of the function to check whether the stack is full or not. So these are the operations. So they may ask you any two operations here they've given. They may ask you 5 operations also. But most chances, most likely is that they may ask you only 2 operations because these operations are not given in the textbook. It is given under Q that can also be used in the stack part. It's not wrong, it's right only. So chances is only 2 operations they can ask you. So it's better if they ask you to mention, you just can write one sentence for it. It will be more than sufficient explanation for this. Okay, write a user-defined function to check whether a stack is empty or not. I just want to check whether a stack is empty or not. I need to write a user-defined function. User-defined function means any user-defined function begin with a def. Okay, def. Returning is empty. So def is empty. I need to take a stack for checking it. Stack is basically the list only. So if len of stack, okay, I can also write like this. If len of stack equal to 0, I can state it as return true, else false. Simple. Okay, return false. This is very simple if you can follow this. What is the example they've given here? Return stack equal to empty list. If stack is equals to empty list, if it's going to be true, then it is going to return true. If it's false, it is going to return false. In one line, they've just avoided multiple lines here. This is also simple. Whichever is easy, you can follow that. Just write the definition. This is more than enough. No need to give an explanation also for this. We'll go with the next question. Write a built-in function to add and remove elements in stack using a list. So I have to take a stack as a list now. I need to add elements to the list. For example, there is a list here, L, and I've taken, I don't want to take it like this, so we'll take it as a stack only. That means there is a stack here called L. I can store the value here 10 and 20. And for this, I want to add 30. That means this will be implemented as stack only. No, I'll take it as yes here. So S is equals to, I have taken 10, 20 already is there. For this stack, I need to add 30. How will I add? Very simple, s dot append 30. Okay, stacklist dot append 30, that element. You can give that element here ELE. Better you mention that. Okay, and then I need to remove an element. I need to remove the element. How can I remove it? So for this, after this, it will be what? 10, 20, 30. I need to remove the element. For me to remove the element, I need to make use of a function called pop function. That is s dot pop function. S dot pop function. I need not have to give the index there, because pop function without an argument always deletes the last element. Always deletes the last element. When I give this no, automatically 30 will come. So which element will be deleted first? And this only will be deleted. No, last in first out works properly here, right? So list stack dot pop function. Stack dot pop function. We'll go to the next question. So what are, define all the expression, infix, postfix, and then prefix expression, and give an example. Is that expression is basically a combinations of characters, operands, operators, and when evaluated results in a single value. Let's take an example here. We have an example like x plus y plus z divided by 2. This is an expression. As a combination of operators, operands, parentheses, when evaluated results in a single value, that's called as an expression. What is an infix expression? If the operator is present in between the operands, x plus y, it's called as infix expression. If the operator is preceding, they call it as prefix expression. It is called as Polish notation. It is called as Polish notation. If the operator is present after the operands, we call it as postfix expression. It is also known as reverse Polish notation. It is also known as reverse Polish notation. This you need to keep in mind. Is the point clear? So they've given you the definition, and one example is more than enough. If they ask you for 2 markers, that's more than enough. We'll go with the 5 markers. That's going to be chapter 3 only. There is a mistake in the slide, so you need to consider this as chapter 3. Okay, chapter 3 only, continuation of stacks only, but 5 markers. Clear? So we'll just go with the 5 markers now. Convert an algorithm to convert infix to postfix, and an algorithm to evaluate a postfix expression. So we'll just look at now. So what do we have? We'll just try to find out an infix expression to postfix expression. We'll just look at the example and then try to understand. So we'll just see an example. What is the expression we can have? X plus y, we can have it. Okay, and then we can have z plus 8. One example is there, same only I'm considering it. I think maybe it is star or something. Okay, what is this? This is an infix expression. This has to be converted into postfix expression. Remember here, in case of a infix expression to postfix expression, what all the possible characters we can encounter? We may get a parenthesis, we may get an operand here, we may get an operator, and we may encounter a right parenthesis. What? We left parenthesis, operator, operand, and then the right parenthesis. Is the point clear? So these are the things that we may encounter in an infix expression. This has to be converted into postfix expression. Is the point clear? So we'll just do this. So now what is the action? One at a time we have to keep taking a character one after. We'll create an empty string postfix expression. Okay, and then a stack. For each character in infix, we have to do the following things. So what you have to do it? Convert infix to postfix. In order to convert an infix to postfix, first thing is that we need to have a stack. Pretty simple. We need to have a stack here, and we need to have this PE. What is the PE? We need to get one postfix expression. No, for example, this is going to be an infix. What is the postfix expression? It is going to be xy plus. This is a postfix expression. Infix is there. Postfix, we have to get it. That is a form of a string only. That is what they have said. That is going to be an empty string. Each character by character you have to traverse and take necessary action when you encounter each one of it. Remember this. What you have to do? Whenever you encounter a left parenthesis, you push. You remember this. Whenever you encounter a left parenthesis, push to the stack. Whenever you encounter a right parenthesis, you pop it. Pop it. Keep on popping till you get the left parenthesis and discard that. What? When you get a right parenthesis, keep on popping the elements and add it to the postfix expression, append to the postfix expression, and discard the left parenthesis. Okay, till you get the left parenthesis. No, till you get the left parenthesis, it should be left parenthesis. Till you get, Correct only. Till you get the left parenthesis. Okay, let me erase this part. Okay, till you get the left parenthesis, you have to keep on popping the elements and append it. When you pop it, you have to append. No, when you pop it, append to the postfix expression and discard that left parenthesis. Along with an example, we will see. Don't worry as of now. And what about the operand? If you get an operand, what you have to do? Operand means you have to append to the postfix expression. Append to the postfix expression. If you get an operator, you need to check for the precedence. If it's having a greater precedence, no issue, push to the stack. If you're having a lesser precedence or equal to precedence, you need to keep on popping the elements and append to the postfix expression. Keep on popping. Keep popping the elements till the precedence of your operator should be greater than the stack operator. Till your operator is greater than the stack operator, you have to keep on popping. And finally, okay, I got greater precedence, and then push it. Okay, higher or equal precedence. Okay, append, keep on popping, append to the postfix expression, push the current operator. If operand means you need to append to the postfix expression. Okay, if you have something left in the stack, then you have to pop it and append to the postfix expression. We'll just look at the example. You will be able to understand in a better way. We'll come back to the postfix in the coming. Okay, we'll just look at this example now. We need to convert an infix to postfix expression. Remember here I told you the priority of the operators. What are the priority you need to check? That means you have a multiplication, division, and then the modulus will having the same priority, and we have plus minus having the same priority. Multiplication, division will have higher precedence compared to this, and compared to all these we have this exponent that will be having the highest precedence. Highest precedence, then the medium precedence, and then the lowest precedence. Keep this in the mind. Okay, we'll take an example now. What is the example they have taken? That's going to be very simple. That's going to be the same example. Okay, what we have this. We have a left parenthesis. I'll be writing here. Okay, we have an operand and then we have an operator. We have an operator. That means what? Push, pop, keep on popping, append, discard. Star means discard. Remember that. It's going to be discard. Operand means append. Append where? Postfix. Whenever you come across append means postfix expression. Operator means check for the precedence. If it's higher, push. If it's lower, pop it, append it. Okay, then you have to push it. These are the things that you have to remember. Okay, I have got the left parenthesis. I have to push it. This is going to be pushing stack. As of now, nothing is there. It is an empty string. I can just write it like this. Then we have encountered with plus here. Plus is going to be an operand. Operand means very simple. I need to append to the postfix expression. That's why it is X. Okay, it remains the same. Then we have plus here. Plus means what? It's an operator. Operator means this operator. You check with this stack operator precedence. Parentheses will always have least precedence. Don't worry about it at all. So plus is having greater precedence. Plus is having check the precedence. Precedence with plus. Okay. Yeah. Plus I have to check with parenthesis. It is having greater precedence only plus. That's why I'm going to push to the stack. Then we have y. I need to append to this postfix expression. Okay, and then what do we have? Then we have what is that expression? Okay, x plus y. Let me check it. X plus y. Yeah. Z star 8. Okay, it is going to be this expression. I have got right parenthesis. Keep on popping. That means I had got like this, right? Do you remember what? I have popped this also. Till I get left parenthesis, I have popped out. I have popped out means I have to append it to the postfix expression. Then we have slash here. So then, okay, I've popped out means nothing is there in the stack. It's an empty stack now. So I have nothing there. This is only having highest precedence. Okay, when nobody is there for us to compare, no, we will be the greatest. We will be the kings and queens. So we have this, always king and queen only. Okay, we have this slash. So this is going to be having a higher precedence. XY plus, it will be written as it is. Okay, I'm going to push it. Then we have this left parenthesis. Left parenthesis means what? Simply you just push to the stack. Push to the stack, very simple. And we have Z. Z means an operand. You need to append to the postfix expression. Then we have this star. Star means I have to worry. Operator means think of the precedence. Precedence of this with this. Ma'am, left or right, whatever parenthesis, least precedence. So you have to, okay, you need to push to the stack. Then we have this 8. 8 is an operand. 8 is an operand means what I have to do? I have to append. I have to append to the postfix expression. Then we have right. Right means, remember, keep on popping, keep on popping. Pop this. Then I've got left. Discard it. I have removed it. When I pop it, I have to attach here. And I've got this left parenthesis. I have to discard. This I've discarded, I've popped out, and then I've appended here. And then we have this slash only left with us. And then we have no expression only. Everything I have completed. Nothing is there. Only I have when this slash is there. You pop out all the elements and append to the stack. So I have got this. You just see here. How will I do manually? XY plus I'll do it. Keep it as it is, because postfix operator will come after the operand. Z8 star will come. After this I have to do, this is going to be like A, this is going to be B, A plus B. A slash B means what? A, B slash, no. This is like A, and this is like B. So it is like A, B slash. That means XY plus Z8 star slash. Did we get it? XY plus Z8 star slash. We are right. So this is how you can cross verify. Is the point clear? So this is how we will be doing it. So we'll go with the concept. Just check here. So left parenthesis means you need to push to the stack. Right means you need to keep on popping, and then you need to, popping means append it and then discard till you get the left parenthesis. Then you have operator, check for the precedence. Greater means you push it. If it's less or equal to, keep on popping append to the stack, append to the postfix expression, and then you're going to push to the stack. Then we have operand. No problem. Operand means you just have to append to the postfix expression. This you have to keep in mind. Now, so we have got one example. What is that example? Postfix evaluation, one algorithm is there, and based on this one example is also there. So what is the example? We just look at one example so that you will be able to having proper understanding of the concept. We have one postfix expression that's going to be 782 star, okay, 4 slash plus. 782 star 4 slash plus. This is going to be a postfix expression. This you have to evaluate. In case, of course, I'm explaining the algorithm only. With an example, it will be more clear to you. What you have to do, in case of a postfix expression, you will not get any parenthesis at all. You will not get any kind of parenthesis at all. What you will get only the operands and the operator. What you have to do with respect to operand? What you have to do with respect to operator? Operand means what? If you get an operand, keep traversing from the left to the right. That is common. Take one character at a time and keep scanning. If it's an operand, you have to push to the stack. Push means stack only. Okay, if there's going to be an operator, you have to pop out into N1 operator, N1 operator, N2 you perform, then store the result back in stack. That means you have to push it. What you can encounter? Each character you have to scan from the left to the right. If you encounter an operand, push to the stack. If you get an operator, keep popping the element. 2 element you have to pop it. One you store it in N2, another you store it in this order only. N1, N2, N2, N1, sorry. N1, N2, and then perform the operation, and then you need to push the result to the stack. Is the point clear? So we'll just do this example and then we'll check. Yeah, Q, okay, we'll just take this example. Along with that example also I'm going to do it now. So we'll just take this example, 4, 5 star, 4, 5 star, 6 plus is there. Okay, so what I have to do it? Very simple, I have a 4, now what I have to do? Very simple, 4 is there, 4 means it's an operand, I have to push to the stack. It's better you take like this. Okay, 4 is there, I'm going to push to the stack. 5 is there, I'm going to push to the stack. 4 will be there, on top of it 5 will be there. Then we have what? Star. Star is an operand, pop it. Star is an operand, pop it. That means star is there, pop it. Then pop N2 is equals to 5, N1 is equals to 4. What is this? Perform N1 star N2. That means what? 4 star 5 will get. What is this? This is going to be 20. Then after that, see, I've popped out. This also popped out, this also popped out. I'll remain only 20 now. I will have only 20. After that, what do? I have got 6. 6 is an operand. Just push to the stack. I have got 6 now. I've got 6. After that, I have a plus. Plus means what? Pop it. Okay, I have a plus. Pop N2. Okay, N1. N2 is equals to 6. N1 is equals to 20. N1 plus N2. That means what? 20 plus 6 I'm going to get. 26 is the result. You have to push it back to the stack. That means this have popped out. This have popped out. 26, I have got it. I push to the stack. Then what do we have? I don't have anything now. I have done with plus also. Everything is done. No element. Only one element is there in the stack. Only one element is there in the stack means that itself is the result. Is the point clear? Very simple. The way the representation they have shown is a bit different here. If you want, I'll explain there or here also. Operand push 4, push 5, 4, 5. That stack imagination will be easy. Okay, this is 4. This is 4, 5. I've removed it. Okay, this is N2. This is N1. This is 20. Okay, and then 20 and 20. And top of it 6 is there. And 26 will be there. This is N2. This is N1. And performing it. Okay, this is going to be star. And this is going to be what? Plus. So I'm going to get it. Is the point clear? So representation is very, very important. 5 markers representation plays a very, very important role. Is the point clear? So I have done with evaluation of the postfix expression. So this part is done. So we'll go for the applications. What are the different applications of the stack with respect to the programming concept? You have to give the example applications. The string reversal, I just told you I'm going to store it a tag there. Okay, tag. Tag, how will you store it? That means first I'm going to store T, then A, then C. Okay, then I'm going to pop out. A will come. Okay, I'll pop it and append. Okay, then I got tag, cat. If I put tag, I'm getting cat. If I put cat, I'll get tag. String reversal. Undo, redo operation. For example, I've typed hi, H have typed, then HE have typed, then hell I have typed. I don't want hell, I want to make it hello. Hello. How are you all? How is the energy? Okay, so if I do undo, it will go to this state. If I do undo, it will go to this state. If I do undo, it will go to this state. If I do undo, it will go, nothing will come. How many undos? But number of undos is going to be fixed. It's not that n number of undos it will be there. It will be fixed. That's all. So you can just think. If you want to redo, it will go to the state. Is the point clear? Undo means this, redo means this. So this is one of the applications of stack only. What is browser backtracking or the back button? Let's consider that you have watched one video in the YouTube. You watched one video in the YouTube, and after that you want to watch some series in the Netflix, and then you finally feel that, I want to study something. I want to really study something. I want to search something in the Google. So, which is the recently visited web page? That's going to be Google. And then which one will come out first? That means recently visited is what? Google, and then you have Netflix, and then YouTube. Last in, first out. Also based on stack. Parenthesis matchings. There are so many parentheses we have come across, right? X plus y, then we have this, and then we have slash and z plus 8. So parenthesis matching also, it is done using stack only. Then we have infix to postfix. Okay, infix to postfix, infix to prefix conversion, postfix evaluation. All these things are basically the applications of stack only. 5 marks maybe this question may be allowed. It's definitely 5 mark question only, because 2 markers and all, it's very simple questions. They may ask you operations and all. If they ask applications, maximum in majority of the preparatory papers, what I've seen, it's going to be the applications, programming applications only, 5 markers only. They may ask you this question. Is the point clear? So we'll just wind up for today's session. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you.